What is up, my ninjas? Shinobi here, and today I have a little bit of a story time with Shinobi. Today is a pretty special day, and I want to talk about pretty much why this day is special. And I've talked about it kind of a little bit a few times on some live streams and things like that, and it has to do with YouTube and Twitch and the past 3 years of my life, because today is a day that 3 years ago I moved back to Canada and I had $60 in my pocket, I had my clothes, and I had my computer. And I went through some pretty life-changing events. So today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about my thoughts about it, and hopefully you guys can take something away from this video. We'll talk a little bit more about that near the end of the video. What exactly I want to talk about in particular is a little bit more than 3 years ago, about 4 years ago area, 3.5 years ago. I was doing a lot of working in restaurants. Some of you know, I've talked about it before, that I used to do the restaurant thing a lot, and I was really good at it. I made good money doing it. I was climbing up the ladder of restaurants, and it's something that I knew that I could keep going in life, and I could get higher and higher and higher, and make more money and this and that. But is that really what I wanted, though? Is that really my purpose? Is that really, a lot of people talk about that. They talk about, what is my purpose in life? And a little over 3 years ago, I asked that question to myself. I thought, in the restaurants, my main job was to help train people, teach people how to do what it is that I did to increase the sales and to make bigger tips and everything like that. That's what I would train people to do, and they would send general managers from other states to come to me so they could go back to their store and train their people how to do it. And I'd really made a name for myself in it, and I always thought, like, maybe that's what I was meant for. Maybe, I'm so good at this, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I was kind of like tunnel visioned, and I was kind of like focusing on that one thing. And, I would put in a lot of hours, 12, 13, 14 more hours a day. I'd put so much time into it, especially when you're, one of the top people there, you're dependent on a lot. So I'd put a lot of time into it. But I'd ask that question to myself, is this really what I want? Even though I'm good at it, and even though I make good money, and even though this and that, is this really what I want? And I was living down in Atlanta, Georgia area for that time, but I'm originally Canadian. I'm from Canada, and I hadn't been back to Canada in a while, but I had been focusing so much on my career, on my job and everything, and there were some things going on in my life that, were kind of personal, that weren't really working out, and things that I'm not really going to get too much into. But one thing that I can get into is that I had talked with my dad around this time that I was questioning all this stuff, and he had told me that, when he was down in the States, living down there by me for a little while, he tried to go to a lot of different hospitals, and he knew something was wrong with him, but he couldn't figure it out. And he spent a lot of money in the hospitals trying to figure everything out, and they couldn't figure it out. They didn't know what was wrong. But when he'd moved back to Canada, he had told me that he had told me that he had cancer. And they figured it out here. Somehow they figured it out that he had cancer. I guess it was just getting a lot worse. And when he told me about that, obviously it's a life-changing thing to hear about. My dad is very important to me. He's someone that, parents are usually important to their kids, right? Obviously. But it's a little bit different. My dad has taught me so much over my life. A lot of the caring and compassion that I have for my YouTube channel and my Twitch, of helping people out through videos and this and that, a lot of that kind of stuff, and not only that, but also responsibilities of learning how to, take care of yourself, but also take care of others. And he taught me that. And he'd always really supported my gaming. It's like, we never really had a lot of money or anything like that, but he'd always, like, the one thing that he would support me with that he could. gaming is something he could always help with. You know, it's like on the weekend we go rent a game or this and that, and I think I've talked about that before, and to hear that, you know, someone that's been so important to me is going through this problem, this cancer thing, it really got me thinking about so many more things. Not only just is my life doing restaurants and the life down here in the States where I live right now, is that what I really want? But also, what more do I want out of life? You know, when you see, you know, something that could potentially kill my dad, you know, it's like, what if that would happen to me? And, you know, if I pass away tomorrow, is this what I left behind? Is this what I was meant to do? Is this all I'm meant to do? And that was a lot of the stuff that I thought about. Now, thankfully, over the years, my dad was cured of cancer. Through in a lot of treatments and the amazing doctors here in Canada, he was cured of it, and he's still waiting to see if it comes back. But nevertheless, that was the starting point to really get me thinking. And around that time when I was living down there, I was making some YouTube videos. I made some Magic the Gathering videos. I made some World of Warcraft videos. And, you know, I did it just for fun because it was just something that, you know, something to do, you know. And that's kind of how I started up with it. But, you know, I thought more about it. And I thought, you know, I came home from work one night when I was working in the restaurant, and I'd work like 15 hours or something, and I was in the shower, and even though I had all my bills paid, and even though I, you know, like I said, I was making good money, and I had my own place and everything like that, I just broke down, and I just started tearing up in the shower randomly. I don't know why, and part of it might have been because of my dad. You know, I'd learned about the cancer thing and everything, that he had to go in for surgery and everything. Part of it was because of that, but the other part of it was that I just felt like something wasn't right. And so what I did is I contacted all my friends, and I contacted my landlord and all the bill companies that, you know, you pay for when you have your own place. And I said, hey, I'm moving. I'm going back to Canada. I can't be here anymore. I need to start a new life. I need to be close to my dad because he's going through all this cancer stuff. But I also need to figure my life out, figure out what it is that I really want to do, and not that I need to do, but what I want to do, what my purpose is. And I told all my friends, and we had a goodbye, and I left, and I you know, I sold my couch, my TV, my Xbox, my entertainment center, my bed, my everything. I couldn't bring that with me because all I had was a car, and it's really expensive to drive 3,000 miles to, you know, to bring all that stuff with you all the way back up. And so I just had to sell it, and thought, okay, I'll just rebuy that stuff later on. And I kept the sentimental stuff, but, you know, literally all I had was just my clothes, my computer, which was not a very good computer. It's not the one that I have right now, but, you know, it did the job for the videos that I was making back then. And you know, and when I got to the border, I remember that I had to exchange my American money into Canadian money, and I remember that I had exactly $66. That's all I had. That's it. And I looked back and I thought, you know, I made good money while I lived down in the States. You know, why is it that I only have $66? And it's because, you know, I was just making money to survive. I was just making money to just exist and have a place and just live a life. But I wasn't making money to get ahead in life, and I wasn't making money to, I wasn't working the jobs because I wanted to get passionate about it. You know, I wasn't like enjoying the jobs. I was just doing it because it needed to be done, and I would just make, okay, I need to make $100. I made $100. That's what I would do. You know, I'd always get things done. But at the same time, I never did anything more for myself, both mentally and actually. And, you know, no matter what it was, whether it's money or it's relationship or it's family or whatever the case may be, I didn't try to search for more. I just existed. I just got by, essentially. And that's why I only had $66 left when I came to the border, is that, you know, technically it's all I wanted back then. All I wanted was just to make it, just to survive. But in life, I've learned that you need to thrive, because that's when you're really living. That's when you're really doing what it is that you want to do, what it is that, not just what you need to do, but what you want to do. And there's no better feeling with doing what you want to do and and being just as successful, or sometimes even more so, sometimes less so, than what you were doing before, from what you needed to do. It's a great feeling. And when I came back here, I contacted my dad and said, hey, I'll stay with you for about a month or so till I figure my stuff out. Figured my stuff out, and I went to, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have very much money or anything like that, so I went to the government and I said, hey, I just moved back to Canada. Is there anything you can do for me? This is a pretty extreme situation. This is not something that happens every day. It's not like, I just refuse to work or whatever the case may be. It's just, I need to get a place. I need to get settled. I need to, not bombard people by living with them and everything like that, So they said, yeah, we can get you like first and last month's rent, give you a little bit of extra money so you can get like a bed and a dresser, and I had a little bit extra to get a desk for my computer. And I got the place that I'm living in right now. That's what I did. And my dad stayed with me for a little bit. Because he was going through, his appointments were pretty close by for him to go to the hospital, so it made sense for him. So we split the costs. But I was doing YouTube, and then I eventually got into Twitch, but I was doing YouTube around that time, and I knew that I needed to make money, right? Because I needed to pay my half of the rent. I needed to pay what I needed to do, and I needed to reestablish myself here in Canada. But I said, I left all that behind. I left all that negativity and that life behind. I could walk into any restaurant in this city and have a job like that in a second. I could walk in and be like, hey, can I talk to your general manager? And then just spew all the information and experience that I have and instantly be hired, even if they're not even hiring. I've done it many times before in other restaurants that I worked at. So I could do that. And I could have done that back then, but then I wouldn't be doing what I wanted to do. I wouldn't be living the life, and it's not so much of a what I needed to do. It was more of like, okay, this is what my mind is set on, and I'm gonna stick with it, And that was this YouTube thing. This was YouTube and Twitch and all that. It was something that I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I don't know if I'm going to fail. I don't know if I'm going to succeed. I don't know. But I'm going to put everything that I have into it. I'm going to really, really want it. And I'm going to really make it me. I'm going to give it 120,000%. I'm going to put everything I got into it. Every ounce of my blood, sweat, and tears, all of it. I'm going to put all of it into it, because if you want to do something, you can't do it half measure. You have to go all in. You have to take a risk, take a chance in life. And that's what I did with this YouTube channel and with my streaming and everything like that. And it was really slow in the beginning, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I said to myself, hey, even if I fail, at least I'm doing something that I love, right? If you're like, you've heard some inspirational speakers say before, probably, they say, if you're going to do something you enjoy, do something you're passionate about, something you love, because if you're going to either fail or succeed. So if you're going to do one of those two things, you might as well do something you enjoy. And that's kind of what I thought about it too. And I did. And, I got lucky, but I also worked my butt off. And I didn't know anything about YouTube coming into it. I didn't know anything about streaming coming into it. There's not like a YouTube university you can go to, or a streaming university or something like that. I just had to learn myself. I self-taught myself how to edit, how to design stuff, how to use Photoshop, how to do streaming stuff, how to code things, how to do things for websites, how to do marketing, how to network with other YouTubers and companies, and how to do all this stuff. A lot of law stuff. There's a lot of technical law stuff that goes into YouTube and streaming, when you have contracts and things like that. There's so much more that goes into it, and I had to teach myself all that stuff, and it was fun. The process was fun, just learning all that. And here we are, 3 years later from that moment of when I came back here. And this is a pretty important day to me, because I'm still here, I'm still going, and I've not only, when I lived in the States, not only was I just surviving back then. When I moved back to Canada, I was just surviving, remember? But now, I went from $60-something in my bank account to what I have now, which is not a lot of money, but enough, and it's a lot more than $60, don't get me wrong. And paying for this place and doing all the things that I've been able to do, like going to the Blizzard LA event and you know, doing all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the opportunities that have come to me, you know, I'm much farther ahead, not only mentally, but actually in my life now. And I made that, and it's all because I made that choice that I'm going to live life by my rules, because if I fail, at least I was doing something that I love doing, and that's important. You know, like I've talked to my girlfriend Ellie before, and she talked about, you know, I don't know what job I want to do. I don't know if I want to do this or I want to do that or whatever. And I just told her, like, hey, I don't care how much money you make at that job. I don't care how much you make. You could make a very small amount. You could do an internship for a while and make nothing. I don't care how much you make. I will always take care of you. I will always provide. You do what you love, and I will be there, and I will support you 100%. Don't get me wrong, relationships are 50-50, and you want to support each other, and she supported this so much, more than anybody. She supported this so much, but at the same time, it's about doing what you love. I want her to feel that same way that I felt when I discovered all this, about this YouTube and Twitch stuff. So, you know, if you guys take anything from all of this, and you take anything from me, you know, this whole internet thing, this whole streaming and YouTube thing, this whole internet personality, and I don't see myself as a celebrity or anything like that, but people are seen like that doing all this, and, you know, I made videos where I've gotten millions of views and everything. I don't look at it like that. I look at it as millions of people that I helped, people that were struggling in games that made their day maybe a little bit better, made their weekend a little bit better. You know, they had a shitty week at work or a shitty week at school, and all they wanted to do was unwind and play some video games, and they watched one of my videos and they learned something and they got a little bit better at the game and they enjoyed it a little bit more. If that's all I've done this entire time, that's amazing. That's worth every minute of what I've done here. The thousands of hours of dedication, blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this. It's worth it. So, like I said, if you take anything from this, take it that I'm still the same guy that I was in the very beginning. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down, and sometimes the negativity does take over a little bit. And even though I try to push that away, I'm not impenetrable. I'm not Jesus or, you know, some kind of godly entity or something like that. I'm a human being, and so are you. We all are. We're going to screw up in life, and we're going to succeed in life. But if you're going to do it by your rules. Do it by your own wants and needs, and not someone else's. Because at the end of the day, you'll feel so much better that you did. I'm living proof right here. I may not be the most successful person on the planet, and that's okay. You know? But everything that I've wanted and more has been brought to me through doing all this. I've achieved way more than I ever thought I would. And a huge part of that comes from you guys. With your support and your watching the videos and everything like that. You guys, without you guys, we don't have anything here. You know, you guys are the community. The community that I've built up, the Ninja Army. Without you guys, I'm just a guy in front of a camera. And you know what? That's not so bad. Because that's what I was in the beginning. And that's what I'll always be. Just a guy in front of the camera trying to make a difference. And that's good enough for me. Till next time, guys, my name's Shinobi. Thanks for watching.